French prune variety is the only one that you can dry. Ordinary plums can't be dried and keep like these French prunes do. You have to have a period that has enough hours under 45 degrees so the tree actually goes dormant. Areas where the temperature doesn't get down in the winter have difficulty for deciduous fruit trees to bloom and make fruit. What you see on these trees right now will eventually make prunes, and we would expect a good prune crop would have 2,000 prunes on each tree. The early stage of the blossom we call popcorn, and it looks like a little popcorn. Then full bloom is when the flower opens up.
It's my favorite time of the orchard because it's so beautiful and each one of the blossoms are so perfect.
I like the harvest time because everything's coming together and you get to see the results of what you've done all year.
We always look to see whether dried plums are on the menu. And when we see that they're on the menu, we're very excited. And it seems like the new chefs are finally using dried plums as an ingredient. They realize the potential that the dried plums have in making foods taste good. They love the natural ingredients.
We like to think that we raise the best prunes in the world because of our practices and things we do differently.
It's a good way of life. It's a good way to raise your children. It's a wholesome life. It's a healthy life. We're out here in the fresh air and the sun. This is Mother Nature at her best. This is her finest work.
Prune trees are planted in the wintertime when they're dormant. We receive the tree from a nursery that's budded to the variety that we want. It takes about 5 years to get a crop off that prune tree. Up until then, we're pruning it, watering it, fertilizing it. I am the third generation prune grower, and we do take a lot of pride in the fact that we do grow a commodity that people want and enjoy eating. We generally harvest prunes in August and into the first part of September.
As you can see out in this orchard, we've got a heavy crop, a nice crop of prunes, and real loaded. And you know when that shaker grabs it and then shakes it, it's like, oh, it's just a relief to have all this heavy fruit off its limbs. And we get to enjoy the bounty of it. I farm with my brother Richard. We're third generation California farmers.
I've been the chairman of the board for Sunsweet Growers for 12 years now. California is the dominant place to grow prunes in the world. We do grow the best prunes in the world. It's a result of the environment. You get the chilling hours in the wintertime, you get the good weather during bloom, and you get the nice, mild summers. So from a growing perspective, this is, essentially the breadbasket of the world.
And the reason prunes grow so well is mainly because of constant sunlight during the growing season, which allows you to turn sunlight into photosynthesis, which in turn is turned into nutrition into the fruit. We happen to be sitting on top of alluvial soils that were laid down through thousands and thousands of years of rivers carving out and laying down soil. So these alluvial soils are fantastic for growing prunes.
Quickly after it's harvested,
They're taken to the dryer and where they're run into what we call a dip tank. It's a large water tank where this floats the leaves and debris out, washes the prunes up, and then they're spread onto trays. And from there, they're run up into tunnels. And our temperatures on the drying tunnels will be anywhere from 185 to 190 degrees. So in my dryer, we dry for 1 hour and 45 minutes. We have 9 cars in a tunnel, and as one is moved in, one is pulled out. From there, they'll be brought back into the dipper machine, which unstacks the trays, and this scrapes the prunes off, and then these go into a bin for storage. After the prunes are set for about 10 days, then we have to turn them. And once we turn them, they're pretty much cured. If you haven't eaten a prune, you need to, because it's nature's candy. It's that sweet. People that haven't eaten one, they taste one, they're surprised.
I grow prunes because I really enjoy seeing something productive come of years of work.
to walk over to that bin of prunes and see just a beautiful product that I know somebody is going to enjoy at some point in time.
You say, hey, that was all worth it, all those years I spent in the field to get to this point. There's a great sense of satisfaction. You get pumped up.
If you eat a prune, there's no debate left. You understand that it tastes great.
A lot of my friends call it plum candy.
People will eat our prunes and say, how do you make it so sweet? How come it's so good?
Farmers need to use a little bit of science, use a little bit of common sense, and thirdly, some intuition that they've developed over the years.
We have ample sunshine, we have ample water, and a growing season that adds to the product.
The other reason that California dried plums are so good for you is that we have a very high standard of food safety, and so you end up with a product that's very clean and very nutritious and very sweet.
The other aspect of food safety in the prune industry is we also have a third party called the Dried Fruit Association.
Food safety really starts out in the orchard, and really what we're talking about is making sure there's proper controls in place to be of that product. And all this adds up to ensure that what the consumer gets in that bag of prunes they buy off the grocery shelf really is going to be safe to consume.
When you grow dried plums, you need to think about how you're going to impart the most nutrition into that piece of fruit so that it's going to be nice and plump and sweet.
You know, it takes a skill. It's not something you just learn overnight. It takes years of it. You know, it becomes a craft.
There's a small cadre of farmers here in California that have a long association with growing this crop.
Growing up, the tool was a tractor. You know, everybody talked about their tractor or their pickup and what kind of tools that they had in their pickup.
Unlike other jobs, when I see the result of our work, it's tangible. I can see it, touch it, taste it, and it's very rewarding.
We about the future of prunes.
In the last 5 to 7 years, we've seen renewed interest, and the future looks bright.
Third-generation California dried plum farmer and mother of 3.
Prunes are a part of our family. It's like my fun fact when I'm in class. When they say everyone share like something interesting about yourself, I'm like, I grew up on a prune farm, because not many people have heard about prune farming. And my mom and dad will drive down and visit, and I'll be like, Mom, Dad, make sure you bring me prunes. They're so healthy and they are so good for you. And I love it. It's like, it is a sense of pride, because I'm like, my dad grew that, you know, my family did that.
I think a lot of people have a hard time introducing a lot of different healthy foods to their kids, and they just stick with the traditional snacks. Kids are so adventurous, and they'll eat it if you introduce it to them. And getting them to bake with you really does make it fun too.
Fruit, so we get the benefit of the carbohydrate that's there. They have fiber in it, good for the digestive tract. They have substances in it called phytonutrients, plant nutrients that are great for heart health, and some very exciting research about the benefit of dried plums for bone health. So literally head to toe. Now, your favorite way to eat dried plums?
My favorite way, and my whole family's favorite way, is just to eat just right out of the bag, just plain prunes. This is how you'll find them mostly at our home. We have a big bowl and put a little lid on it to keep them nice and fresh, and the kids just grab and go.
And if people are not necessarily used to having them that way, you can also incorporate them into the day, right?
So many other ways, correct.
So let's
Yes.
start from the beginning of the day, breakfast, most important meal. How might we use those dried plums?
Well, my husband and I just had this one yesterday morning. It's Greek yogurt. We made our own trail mix, just toasted different types of nuts and an organic coconut flake, actually, we like, because you taste a little bit more. And diced up some prunes. And then we also, my husband makes a prune concentrate, so we drizzled that just for a little sweetness.
And the benefit of using the Greek yogurt, adding some protein. So now we have a complete meal. We have the protein, we've got the carbohydrate, we have a little bit of fat. Fabulous. So, not just at breakfast time, if we were going to move on through the day and maybe thinking about using dried plums at lunchtime, what could we do?
We do lots of different wraps at our house, and we just diced up some chicken and with prunes, tossed it with balsamic vinegar and any herbs that you like with your chicken. Prunes really lend themselves to most seasonings.
Awesome.
There you go.
All right, breakfast, lunch. What about at dinner time?
Dinner. Well, we have a pork tenderloin, and we did a chipotle sauce on it, which can be a little bit spicy for some people. So we sauteed it with some prunes and tomatoes, onions and garlic, and it really gave it a nice creaminess and took a little bit of the heat out of it.
And I love that because it's also not just the dried plums as they are, but incorporated as a puree. And then even with the salad on the side, and a lot of people wouldn't think about putting dried plums into a salad. Why not? Little bits that worked well, a little pecan that's here, a vinaigrette.
Sweetness, yeah, they're
Absolutely
really nice. We
fabulous.
added some nuts and tomatoes, just a real traditional salad, but gave it a twist.
Can you put dried plums in dessert?
We can. We have a healthy version for dessert. We have fudgy prune brownies that my daughter made yesterday. Really nice. And when you use prunes, you can eliminate the oils and fats and really drastically reduce your sugar. One of our favorite desserts to make in our house is a prune cake. We stewed prunes until they were mashable, nice and soft, and then we incorporated them into a buttermilk cake. We actually even went completely overboard and added a glaze on top that has just a little bit of oil and buttermilk and some butter, and it's really good.
But how fabulous. And the fact of the matter is that a dessert is supposed to have some degree of indulgence. And quite frankly, it's a balance at the end of the day, right? The add-ins and the takeaways. So we have healthy meals, we have something that provides that element of taste, and we still find dried plums as a way to put that exclamation point on the day.